When the only constant in life is change, you need to be ready. This is the Man-Made Survival Show.
Hello everybody, my name is Jose from Man-Made Survival, and thank you so much for coming back to the channel and watching this video. This information that's been coming out is very, very important and very, very critical because things are getting really, really bad. All right. And even though it's just not started, we're not very deep into it, and we're already having major problems, major problems. All right. But before we talk about this any further, I want to remind you of my brand new book that I've written, which is Preppers Secrete Cache. You can go to www.preppersecretcache.com and you can order it on there. The book is free. All we need is your information and to help us with the shipping. The book retails for $25 and the shipping is like $7, $8. So you are getting it for free. But anyways, so just go on there, or you can click the link below and we'll send it to you as quickly as possible. Now, one of the things I want to remind you, if you have not watched the other videos, is that we have set the crisis level to red. All right, and if you remember, or if you look, I'm gonna put it on the screen here. Red reads bug out. Everyone in their bugging location. Fully self-sustained infrastructure running and 24-hour perimeter checks. The reason I said that is because a lot of things are going on, and if you've paid attention, if you've seen the other videos, you see how bad it's getting. All right, that information is also here, but I understand that things are getting bad, from bad to worst. All right, and for a lot of people, it's gonna seem helpless. But let me remind you that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. There's always a silver lining. All right, and Jesus Christ is that light at the end of the tunnel, and so is He, the silver lining. If you're a Christian, all right, just remember that you have to get on your knees, talk to God, ask Him for help. All right, if you have never ever talked to Jesus, or you've never given Him your life, right now is the time to do so, because hard times are coming. Very hard times, and you'll see. Because if it wasn't for the government, if you did not live in this country where the government is pulling all the stops to make sure that you have the money you need, if you lived in any other country like Mexico, you know, anything south, really, you would be in a very bad shape right now. Right? But anyways, Jesus Christ will always get you out. Right? It may not be the way you wish it to be, but that doesn't mean that you won't be okay. All right? As long as your belly is full and your family is safe, you know, you have everything you need. Outside of that, it's a lot of blessing, and this country is very, very blessed. But anyways, let's get into this. The first video I'm going to show you is Trump finally admitting that this thing is real. Here's that video.
1 second.
Were you surprised when you saw these projections? The numbers are sobering.
They're very sobering. Yeah, when you see 100,000 people, that's at a minimum number. Now, what we're looking at, and as many people as we're talking about, whatever we can do under that number and substantially under that number, we've done that through really great mitigation. We've done that through a lot of very dedicated American people. That 100,000 is according to modeling a very low number. In fact, when I first saw the number, and I asked this a while ago, they said it's unlikely you'll be able to attain that. I think we're doing better than that. Now, I think we have to see, but I think we're doing better than that because, as John said, that would be, a lot of lives taking place over a relatively short period of time. But think of what would have happened if we didn't do anything. I mean, I've had many friends, business people with great, actually, common sense. They said, why don't we write it out? A lot of people have said, a lot of people have thought about it. Write it out. Don't do anything. Just write it out and think of it as the flu. But it's not the flu. It's vicious. When you send a friend to the hospital and you call up to find out how is he doing, it happened to me, where goes to the hospital, he says goodbye, he's sort of a tough guy, a little older, a little heavier than he'd like to be. frankly. And you call up the next day, how's he doing? And he's in a coma? This is not the flu. So we would have seen things had we done nothing. But for a long while, a lot of people were asking that question, I think, right? I was asking it also. I mean, a lot of people were saying, well, let's just ride it out. This is not to be ridden out, because then you would have been looking at potentially 2.2 million people or more. 2.2 million people in a relatively short period of time.
All right, so you heard Trump say it, right? And very unfortunately, it's the same experience with a lot of people. They do not believe the virus is real until it happens to them. And in this case was Trump and his friend, right? One day he calls, he's fine. The next day he's in a coma. So now he thinks, oh, this is very serious. And for all the people who thought that this was a hoax to hurt Trump, well, Trump coming out and saying it himself that pretty much this is real destroys that argument. So I hope now you can get past the whole it's a hoax to hurt Trump, and you can take it serious now and take care of yourself and your family, because there's a lot of things coming here in the near future that you need to get prepared for. But anyways, now remember when people were saying that China was going back to work, that things were good in China now, that there were no more cases? Well, here we go again. China puts country on lockdown after new corona cluster emerges. This from Zero Hedge. China is no longer fixed. Having lied for the past 2 months about the severity and the extent of coronavirus pandemic, which its virologists started in Wuhan, eager to convey the message that the crisis is under control, just so people could return to work, full of hope and enthusiasm, rejoicing at the surge of China's just as fabricated PMI's numbers, and willing to work their butts off. According to the local media reports, on March 29, Henan province broke its 30-day streak of reporting no new coronavirus cases, saying one person tested positive. As a result, all residents' compounds will be under closed-off management, and all residents need to wear masks and have temperatures taken entering or exiting the compounds. And so the virus is back to China, despite the best intentions of the World Health Organization and its Beijing sponsors to make it seem that China had managed to defeat the virus. All right, and I want to remind people, if you have forgotten already, that 80 to 90% of the things that we get from China, 80 to 90% of the things that we get here in the United States come from China. All right, so if they're not back to work, there's no stuff on the shelf. And it's something that we're going to see more and more. So get used to seeing empty shelves. Because if they're not working, if they're not producing, and they're on lockdown to the same extent they were a few months ago, then we're going to see this economic collapse last even longer. All right. Now, with that being said, I'm going to move on to the next headline. Because this next headline, if things continue the way they are, and it seems that they will, we will see a collapse, an economic collapse, to the same level that we saw in Venezuela. All right, I hate to say those words, but it's very true. And it's very important for you to have this information, because the information that you have in front of you will give you the information you need to make a better choice, to make, better plans, to look ahead and to go ahead and prepare today so you don't have to suffer with it tomorrow. U.S. weekly jobless claim doubled to 6.6 million. This from CNBC. The torrent of Americans filing for unemployment insurance skyrocketed last week as more than 6.6 million new claims were filed, the Labor Department reported Thursday. That brings 10 million the total Americans who filed over the past 2 weeks. Now, I wrote this as a note. The number of unemployments during the 2008 collapse was 11.1 million. And in the Great Depression was 15 million unemployed. All right, moving on. Quote, sadly, this probably still underestimates the actual numbers because of the overload of the system and not every call getting through, said Liz Ann Saunders, chief investment strategist at Charles Schwab. Quote, even if we're accurately calculating the numbers, we'll still likely have worse to come, end quote. All right. Here's another headline. Some Americans could wait 20 weeks to receive stimulus check. IRS tells House Democrats, CNN. All right. There's a lot of people, 10 million. All right. We're very close to the same number of unemployment as we saw in 2008 crash. And we're very close to the same numbers for the people unemployed during the Great Depression. And let's not forget the population of the Great Depression compared to now is probably a lot different. I didn't look up those numbers, but more than likely it is. All right, and a lot of people will not be able to wait 20 weeks to receive that money. So if you have money right now, you need to go ahead and do all the math you can on the very basics that you need in order to still have a home, all right, or still have rent, so you're not homeless. Because if it takes 20 weeks, a lot of people are going to be very desperate very, very soon. Even though that the government, they're trying to do the best thing for the people by passing the $2 trillion stimulus plan, it seems like it's not enough, because they're saying that they're probably going to need another package just as big. So they think this is going to probably go for a very long time. All right, here's the next headline. What is America going to look like with tens of millions of unemployed workers? This from the economiccollapseblog.com. In all of U.S. history, we have never seen a spike in unemployment like we are witnessing right now. 49% of U.S. companies anticipate conducting layoffs within the next 3 months, and the St. Louis Fed is projecting that the unemployment rate in this country will soon rise to 32%. Before the coronavirus pandemic started shutting virtually everything down, approximately 158 million Americans were employed. And so we could soon have tens of millions of unemployed workers on our hands if the St. Louis Fed's projection is accurate. Now, the math on 158 million Americans being 32%, it comes out to be 50 million people, all right? Now, let me remind you, during the 2008 collapse was 11.1 million, and the Great Depression was 15 million. So 50 million Americans unemployed, that's just going to blow that out of the water. That's why I say you have to be careful, because it looks like Venezuela is coming, or, you know, what happened in Venezuela is coming to the United States. So you need to get prepared right now and do the things that you need to do in order for you to have housing and to be able to feed your family. I'm going to end this first part of the video with this. Bankruptcy lawyers gear up for search and filing due to coronavirus fallout. That was from the Wall Street Journal. A lot of people are laid off. A lot of businesses are closing, and a lot of businesses are saying that once they shut down, there's no going back. So I hope you're not in that group. But you need to plan ahead, you know, if you are, or if you are unemployed right now because of this. If you have a little bit of money, make it stretch, because we don't know how long this is going to last. All right, they're talking that it was supposed to be done by Easter, right? That's what Trump come out and say. They extended it to 30 more days, and then they're starting to talk like it's not going to be done until the end of July, maybe August. I mean, who knows anymore, right? Which is the reason why you need to go ahead and prepare right now. You need to secure your own food, because that's exactly what we're going to talk about on the next video. How there's a lot more people going to the food banks to receive food, and we're not even very deep into this depression yet. All right. So right now you need to take the steps. Today, you need to take the steps to secure your food and secure your water, and plan with your money what's the essentials that you need to pay. Because otherwise, a lot of people are going to be homeless. A lot of foreclosures are anticipated because of this. All right. So anyways, please come back to the second video because more important information is coming out. So again, I want to remind you before I go about my book, Preppers Secrete Cache. You can click on the link below. You can go to www.prepperssecretcache.com. The book is free. All we need your help with is the shipping. And as soon as you put that information in, we'll send it to you as quickly as possible. But again, my name is Jose Pro Amendment Survival. Always ready.
The Man-Made Survival Show.